I'm not sure if you came across the challenge sometimes where you have to put in a image into, for example, a screen like this, and how would be the best way, because sometimes you might have an image and you drop it in here, but the proportions are totally out because the width and the height is not proportionate, so you struggle to work with it. So this is just a bit of how I go about it, and this might be able to assist. So first things first, I'm just going to change this entire area into a artboard. So to do that, I click here on Artboard tool. There are other ways of doing it, but I'll go there and say Insert Artboard, and I'll label this as my target okay, so that's just my target design work. The reason I do this is you'll see the logic coming soon. But let me just go there. So the point is, how do I decide the actual width here using Affinity Designer? What I do is I start off with particularly with the one image first. So I'll grab into the ruler, left mouse button, and I'll drag out a marker. So you can see I've already put some markers in here, so I'm going to just go in. Let me clear off all the markers here. Okay, just delete that, and I'll come back to this window again. For those of you who aren't familiar with this window, I'll explain what it is. Okay, so what I do is I go into the margin and I'll drag out a guide. So if we look there, and I'm going to just drop it approximately there where the edge is. What I'm trying to do is find out what the proportions are from left to right. So I'll go in and grab another one, left mouse button, and possibly put it, say, down there. Then I'll do top, down, till about there, and then grab another top, down, till about there. So what this is giving me is the guidelines for this particular screen I'm going to replace. Now there's a little butting edge there. I'll show you how you get around that. There's a video or two that I do on how to sort of shape images and place images into curves and that sort of thing. I'll just do a short example here so you can see that. But pretty much we have this here now. Now sometimes people might go and go try and look on top and see the reading and that reading and then subtract them there. But there's an easier way, and that was with the screen that I showed you earlier. If you go to View and you come down to Guide Manager, okay? So click on Guide Manager, and there you'll see the guides that you dragged in there are listed over here, and this is horizontal guide. So this guide here that runs horizontal, the top one there would be at about 29.7 pixels. The bottom one is at 619. So to get the difference here, to find out what the space is from this top one to this bottom one, you literally will subtract these two from each other. Okay, so in this case it will be approximately, so from this one to this one would be about 590 pixels. Okay, so you got the idea. From there to there is 590. Then from your vertical guides, which is this left one here, it's 40 pixels across, and the extreme right one here is 1064. So you're left with about 1020. Okay, so it's 1020 by about, what did I say? It's about 590 pixels. So then you can make a note there and you'll know it's 1020. The reason I don't do both the screens at the same time is because I'm going to have a lot of guides in here, and then you get confused with what's going to happen. So let me just go in and make a note. Simple notepad. Bring that across. So I will say the big screen is, let's put that, horizontal guides are there, so it's from top to bottom, so that's the height. is equal to about, say, 590 pixels, and the width is equal to, what did we say, 40 from that is 1020. It looks like a familiar size, 20 pixels. Okay, oops, not the bit screen but the big screen. Okay, so now I know that's the dimension. So to do the next one, I'll minimize this. To do the next one, I don't drop new markers in. All I do is I can take these markers and just drag it across here. And let me take this marker and drag it across. Zoom in. Right there. This bottom marker, pull it down to the bottom, and the top one there. Okay, so you see what we're doing is not confusing it by putting, how many is this? 8 markers each on the screens. We've just used the existing ones to work out these dimensions. Then we look again, same principle applies. So we subtract from the 853, we'll subtract that is about 400. So it's probably about 453. Make a note there. So the small screen, and it might feel a bit, too much note taking and so forth, but it's good to put it down somewhere so that when you're done here, you don't have to constantly come back and verify it. So that is horizontal lines, that's from top to bottom. So we were looking at about 450 pixels. That is the height, and the width is, if we take, say, 965 from here, that will leave us with, what's 965? There's 35 there, so it's 600, say 690 plus 35, oh my maths, 690 plus 35 is, what is it, 725. Do I have it correct? Yeah, 725. So the width is equal to 725 pixels. Okay, so but you get the idea that you subtract the one from the other because these are the vertical guides here. So this distance across and that one, you subtract the two from each other and you'll get this actual width of this area you're trying to measure. Okay, so what's the purpose of all this? What I go in and do is I just go and click on Artboard. I'm going to create another artboard here. So if I go there, insert an artboard, it will do it the same proportion there, but now I know what my pixel sizes are. So if I want to replicate this big screen, I'm going to let me create another artboard, create 2 artboards. Okay, so the idea is I'm going to make this artboard the size of that screen and that artboard the size of that screen, so that I know what I'm working on. Then I can bring the image in here and know that I want to keep the proportion before I go and drop it in there. So let's go and label this first. We'll go in here, we'll say this is going to be the big screen, and this one is going to be the small screen. Okay, so now I'm going to click on the big screen, the artboard, and down at the bottom here you'll see these are the dimensions. So there's the width and the height. I make sure that the connection is not here, it's not locked. So if I click here, you'll see it will lock these two and keep the proportion, but I don't want that. So I'm going to go with width, and here it's where it comes where you can pop this in. So I'm going to go, this is the big screen, I'm going to do width is 1020 by 590. So width is 1020 and 590. Okay, so there I've replicated that size. The small one is 725 by 450. So it's 725 by 450. Okay, and then I can grab this and just maybe I'll bring it a bit to this areas, yeah, so I can have it laid out more. So what I've done is I've created a artboard that size and an artboard that size. So now when I work with the image, I just bring the image and place it here, and whatever I do is I'm working towards this proportions. So we know this is the big screen size. So we know that we've got to get, I'm going to just place an object, let's just find one, go into pictures. Now we know that if we want to go and get a picture that's going to fit into this area, we got to go, let me just go back here, if I select on here, it's going to be in the region of like 1,000 pixels by 500. So it's a 1:2 ratio, so it's going to be like 2 units wide and 1 unit high. That's the kind of proportion that we're going to do if we're going to be selecting a object. So you don't take a square object and want to place it in here and stretch it along the way, but at least you know that's your target, 1020 by 500, by 590. So that's your target area. So if I had to do a screen grab, that's where I target towards 1020 by 590, then I know it will proportionately fit in here. So if I go in here and I'm going to just place an object, I'm going to go to pictures. Okay, so if I take this food object and I come in here and I drop it, you can see that when I get to this point here, I know already that if I just proportionately bring it in like this, this is going to be the challenge that I have. So here I can work on how I'm going to maybe, manipulate it. Maybe I decide, okay, I'm going to do this and take it up there, and okay, that would look fine. Now I'm going to break one of the cardinal rules. You always with images do proportional sizing, but I'm going to just do this and see if it's got any distortion. I think that would be fine if we go there. We still can get away with it. So I've done that, so now I know that will at least fit perfectly into this area. Okay, into the small one I can go and place, and then we place this one. Okay, so here also I can see that there's going to be a discrepancy, so what I will do is work here and position it. That should be fine. Yeah, I can get away with it. Please don't do that as a norm where you only stretch one side of an image. If you do that when there's human beings on it, you're going to have a human eye will pick up the distortion. So we can get away with it on this area. So now they have got the sizes sorted out. Okay, so we do guides. We check out the guide manager to get the measurements. We create these artboards that are to that dimension, and then we do that setup on their own there. Then quickly, I've also done tutorials on this, but I'll show you quickly how we get to this. Because it's very square on, I'm going to use just a square tool here, and I'm going to draw this area. Okay, now I'm not technically using the guides there, I'm just covering the area where the visual is going to be. And here I'm going to make the inside transparent and maybe make the outside line red so I can see where I'm working. These lines, I'm going to just go in the guides, and I am going to say, where are we? Show guides. I'm going to disable that so that it can just hide those guides. So what I have here is an outline of where I want the image to go in. So I'm going to create what they call a clipping mask kind of thing. Okay, and the same thing I'm going to do over here. Just pull this here, and I'm going to go right to the edge here because that's where the assumption of the image goes. Okay, and let me just get that maybe a bit closer. Okay, but if I put something in here, it's going to run right over this corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just convert this selection that I have now. I'm going to convert it to a curve so I can edit it. And on top here, I'm going to drop a node. Just left mouse button click, drop a node. And here I'll just take this out to about that area. Okay, now this node I can drag a bit more this way, but let me do it wisely. I can select these two, keep shift to constrain, and then just move them there. These two, I'm going to, this node seems not to be at the same level, so let me select these two and then just go to this align, and then I'm going to go, let me go with bottom align, and it will align those, if you see it moved, align those nodes there. Okay, and then I'm going to just go on either side and then click on this node. What I've done is drop the node, click on this node and delete it. And then if I hover over here, the normal editing features. So I'm not going to go specifically right on the edge there. I'm just showing you the principle. So I've got this outline. Now let me show you what I do. So I've got one here, which is the big one, and if I click here, this is the other one that I've created, these curves. If I go into, let's see where it's created. Yeah, there's the rectangle and there's the other. That's a curve because I expanded it or converted it to a curve. That's a rectangle. I can also convert this to a curve. Maybe I should just do that. You don't need to, but let me just do that. So how do I get the image in here? What I'll do is I'll go, this is just the method that I use. So I'll drag this image across here. And here in this case now, if I drag it much bigger, you'll see it goes off the screen, and I'm going to just do it bigger for the purpose of demonstration. So what I do is I'll select this image and I press Ctrl X. Then I go and select this curve that I just put in there, and then you go to this area, these booleans, and you say insert inside the selection. So if I click there, and now I go Ctrl V, I'm going to paste that image back now, but it's going to paste it inside the selection. Okay, as you can see there, if I go onto this curve in the layers palette, that's the image I'm selecting. So even if I make it much bigger now, it's cropped, or rather clipped into that area. But also the most important thing is that I have the proportions correct, which I did on this artboard. Because if the proportions weren't correct, then at this stage I'm going to try and be manipulating it, and it just won't work that well. So let's do the same. Let me drag this across. I'm going to just put it there for now, and Ctrl X. Then I select the curve there, inside curve, and Ctrl V. Okay, so if I go to this one, where do we have it? There, I've got that selected. So can you see what's happening there? If I go beyond that point, it will clip into that area, but I know my proportions are all correct now. And remember, you must just make sure in the layers that you are working on the image, not on the curve, because if you select the curve, you're going to be editing the curve, which I don't want to do. If there was a discrepancy, like here now, you see this over here, then I go to the curve, and you can see now I can go to the curve, to the node tool, and you see here this area is not spot on, so I can create a selection and just shift to maintain that, and just move it up. Okay, so I'm moving the nodes now. Okay, that's not even that accurate. Let me just go closer and keep shift down, and a little bit there. Okay, that should be fine. So now you can see I'm working on the curve just to tweak the areas. Same thing here with these two. I'm selecting both so I can keep the vertical line when I move the two nodes. I'm going to keep shift, so I can just lock it in there, and when I let go. So now you can see I was working on the curve to refine that, and it didn't influence the picture. Okay, if I want to move the picture again, I select the picture, and let's go there, back to the move tool, and the picture I can move wherever I want to. Okay, so there we have it. Those two are in there. And you might think, do I really need to do this? Can't I just place the object in there? The challenge is with just placing an object is, if the proportion is not right, you don't want to sit in this image and be tweaking things and moving things around. So it's a good principle just to work independently like this. The other thing is that you notice that we have this outline here, or that we used to place or to create the curve for the image to go in. So you've just got to go back to go and select it and go there and just make it transparent so you don't see that outline. You'd see on this one, same thing. Let's just go and move outline so that it's not bothering over there. So there we have it there, and that gives you the ability. Now usually what I'd do is I would keep maybe Control down or Alt down when I drag the image across, so I leave the original on these artboards, but in this case I just wanted to pull it across to show you what goes for what. Okay, so yeah, I hope this gives you sort of an idea, and this came literally from a client who he does a few things in Affinity also, and he was just struggling to be able to get an image that's going to fit onto these screens, and how does he measure what the screen sizes is, etc. And this is the method that I showed him, and then we got it up and running in that way. So hopefully this helps you as a method to, you know, place things proportionately, and also to get the measurements on the object you're going to finally be dropping other images onto. So yes, have a great day and God bless.